G'day everyone. This is my first ever PSA submission return. I submitted these cards in January 2025, like towards the end of the month, like 25th or something like that. And yesterday, day before this recording, the 9th of July is when I got them back. I think I did pretty well, all things considered, with how low some of the pops are, which I'll put on the screen as I reveal all the cards. Yeah, nice to finally have them back in my possession. If there is something that you see that you like, feel free to drop me a message or leave a comment on this video and we'll see if we can work something out. So I have taken a before and after video of these cards as well. Back with the next card is a Heracross from Hidden Legends. I graded this card because Heracross is one of my favorite Pokemon, and I feel like it just has been underappreciated for a long time. And yeah, this card scored the 10. Bought this off of eBay at some point, maybe a year or two ago, for $25. So probably gone up a little bit since then. This is a card that really surprised me. So I got upcharged quite a bit for this, and I think prices fluctuate so much there's no real point in putting a price on the screen for this. So I'd rather just give you the pop report, if that makes sense, and then if you're really interested you can go and have a look for yourself. But this one was a big surprise. Had a feeling it could get a 10, but cards from this era just predominantly do not grade well. And you can see that via the pop report on the screen right now. So yeah, stoked with this one. And next up, another one that surprised me slightly too. I feel like there was maybe sort of little issues here and there with all these cards, but yeah, for the most part, apparently not. So whether PSA didn't grade me harshly, I don't know. I feel like they're pretty fair in terms of what I got for these cards, because I had a look over them quickly after I got them back, and yeah, literally couldn't see anything wrong. And you'll see in the before videos that I had nothing to worry about. This one is going to Grace to start her Pokemon collection. Trying to just infiltrate people's lives with this stuff when I can, because it's a really fun, I hate the word hobby, but that's what it is. It's a hobby, collecting cards. I've been doing it all my life. All right, next up. This card I also got on eBay maybe a year or two ago. I think I might have paid $40 for it. So there were cards like during the big boom period that were still like relatively affordable. Didn't bother trying to find an English copy. This does the same job and probably has better texture, so I'm happy with that. Continuing on with the trend of buying cards off of eBay. Deoxys is one of my other favorite Pokemon, and really liked this card, and pairing it with an Espeon, like, what is not to like about it? As you'll see later in this video, there is a few more Espeons in there. Yeah, extremely happy with this one. All right. Next up. This one I didn't think was going to get the 10, but yeah, I thought the bottom was a little bit thinner than the top, but I guess because of all the colors on the top, it's sort of hard to differentiate. But yeah, all in all, very happy with this. I'll be doing another PSA sub at some point, probably in the next couple of weeks, I would say. So yeah, I don't know how long that's going to take to get back, considering this one took nearly 6 months to get back to me. Crazy. Anyway, moving on. Another crowd favorite. I got this one. Oh, and before we move on, this Mew I pulled from a box myself. So boxes were $180 when I was opening them. Not anymore, unfortunately. This card I got off my mate, who is also named Matt. I got it in a trade. So I think at the time, this card was maybe $300. I think I gave him a Paradox Rift booster box and a couple of other things. All right, next up. Espeon VMAX in a 9. First 9 of the bunch so far. I sent 2 copies of this off because I had 2. Neither of these cards I pulled myself, but one of them I got in a trade through Instagram. I traded a Rainbow Charizard V-Star from Brilliant Stars, plus maybe another Charizard. So at the time of trading, I think it was like $200 or $250 value on both of our ends. So yeah, this card has gone up quite significantly, which is nice. One of the 2 of these Espeons from that guy on Instagram that traded to me sent it in a mini tin sandwiched between like 20 or 30 commons and uncommons, and the Espeon wasn't even in a sleeve. So thanks for that one, champ. That was probably the 9, I guess. And then the next one was a 10. So if this was the one that was in the mini tin that got shipped from Tasmania and still somehow made it to my door in either a gem mint or a mint condition, perfect. Thank you for that. Yeah, very stoked with this one. I thought both of these were going to get a 10, and when I got the message that I had a rather large upcharge, this is what I thought it was for. But if you've done any sleuthing of your own, that Sylveon that appeared earlier is where most of the upcharge came from, apart from 1 or 2 other cards in here. All right, next one. Espeon. So I pulled this myself. The local Coles near me during COVID, when Evolving Skies came out, always had blister packs, always had triple blisters. So I was just click and collecting every day. So I opened probably, I want to say 300 packs of Evolving Skies and got very lucky, as you'll soon find out. If anyone remembers me from Instagram, Hound of Doom, my first live stream during COVID, I think my first live stream altogether, I had 2 people on there, Nick and Yachty. You guys will remember it, but I pulled the Moonbryon after maybe 2 or 3 packs and lost my absolute shit. I still have that one, but anyway, moving on. Sylveon also pulled this one. I'm sure there's videos somewhere out in the ether, but I cannot be bothered finding them. So you'll just get a pre-grading small clip and then this. Yeah, I was very excited when I knew that these cards were in store. I nearly dropped everything that I was doing to go and get them. All right, moving on. This one I pulled from an Evolving Skies booster box along with the next card that's in the pile. My mates and I think I won the box in a Raz. So the Raz was $50 buy-in, 10 spots. So at the time, Evolving Skies was $500 for a box, and I won the box for $50. And I pulled this Glaceon V Alt, and I also pulled this Leafeon V Alt from the same box. So that was awesome. Opened it with a bunch of mates. We all got to open packs. Very small overhead cost. So yeah, all in all, happy we opened it. Pity that they both got a 9, but God, 9's still good. I'm happy with a 9. All right, next one. I pulled 2 of these cards myself. This one was obviously the better of the 2. That's why I sent this one in. Yeah, stoked. Remember buying this pack in Bateman's Bay. and I think I bought 8 or 10 Twilight packs, and this was the only pull that I got. And at the time, I was a bit dejected, thinking, why me? But apparently, this card is quite good. Again, all the pop reports will have been on the screen if I've done my job correctly. But yeah, this card is awesome. Don't know if I want to sell that one. All right, next up is a personal favorite. So, Houndoom from Shrouded Fable. Could not believe it. These cards are notoriously hard to grade. Anything Scarlet and Violet era just sucks. I bought this off of Instagram. I think I paid $60 for it. Cannot quite remember the guy's name that I bought it off at this moment, but yeah, thanks, man. Got literally one of my favorite cards of all time. Illustration rare, of course. Yeah, pretty incredible. Very stoked with this one. This one, couldn't care what the price was, not selling it. Graded it myself. How's it get much better than that? This one I pulled from it's either the Terrapagos UPC or from a booster box of Stellar Crown. Yeah, probably the chase hit of the set for me, along with the Bulbasaur, which I also have, but pulled it after sending these off to be graded. You can tell where this one got a 9. Top's a bit thinner than the bottom. I think that was about it, though. I think I was just hoping for it to scrape by, but I think after I sent this, they were like, oh, PSA is becoming more strict. Of course, but still, did pretty good. All right, moving on. This was expected to get an 8, purely for the fact that I know how hard these cards are to grade, and in a 10, they're just ridiculous. I pulled this card myself as well when Burning Shadows came out. I used to work in Sydney, like in the city itself, and when Burning Shadows came out, I just kept opening packs. So the guy that worked there just let me rip until I wanted to stop. So I didn't have to pay for each individual pack. I was just ripping and ripping and ripping. And yeah, sure enough, got the Rainbow Charizard. I thought this had a shot at a 9. Corners aren't that bad from what I've seen on a lot of others. Doesn't bother me either way. I probably wouldn't have sold it purely for the fact that this was like a pretty big hit for this time. Yeah, and I think I don't know if all of them have it, but it's got that sort of extra bit of texture where it should have a 3rd retreat cost, but I'm pretty sure it's a common error. I'd say the revised card would be worth more. I don't know. Anyway, final 2. I'm just going to move off screen. I graded this because I know that it's an expensive card in a 10. I didn't even think it was going to get a 10, but was hoping to sell this to recuperate costs for grading. So, yeah, after grading fees and upcharges, I'm definitely open to moving a couple of cards on. So, if you see anything you like, apart from probably 1 or 2 cards in there, let me know. More than happy to work something out. Pretty cool card all in all. Like the terrestrialization, I don't think many people like, but the longer Scarlet and Violet has been around, people have come around to it. I quite like it. All right. And then the last card, which was, and by the way, I pulled that out of the 1 box of Obsidian that I opened. So happy days. And this last card, I will find the purchase that I made for it on eBay. I'm sure it was last year or the year before. So 2023 or 2024, I paid, I want to say $40 or maybe $45 for this card. And then the guys in the shop were losing their shit when I flipped this one over. I think this was the first one I revealed to myself. And without further ado, a Platinum Arceus Charizard Holo in a PSA 10. This is the only one I know the pop report for because I looked it up last night. Pop 49. I was pretty astounded. I didn't look at how many 9s and 8s there were, but the price difference was substantial, to say the least. Yeah. So thank you to the person on eBay that sold this to me for $40. Much obliged. Yeah. Again, I'm not a Charizard collector by any means, but when I see potential in cards, that's when they're worth grading, in my opinion. Unless they're a card that you really like, and you don't care about what the grade is. So yeah, this one came as a bit of a shock. It's a really sick artwork, and I don't know if I want to sell it, but everything comes at a price, I guess. Yeah, that'll probably do me for today. I am keen to do more PSA subs and return videos. Like, that's the kind of content that I like to watch. It's nice to see like people in Australia doing it as well, to give a bit more of a perspective on how much it costs to grade from Australia. I think I paid $50 a card to get graded. So then you got to weigh up the cost of like, what do I send to really make that grading cost worthwhile? But yeah, shout out to Brody Plays Pokemon. I really like your PSA submissions, and I like the thought process that goes into why you grade particular cards. And there's some purely just to sell, and then there's some purely to keep in your personal collection, and I really enjoy that aspect of it. So yeah, feel free to leave a like and a comment if you enjoyed this content, and hopefully I'll send another PSA sub off in the next few weeks and get it back before the end of the year, which would be awesome. All right. Thanks for watching. Catch you guys next time.